Hi everyone. Let's take a few minutes and take a look at Novell iPrint 1.1. So iPrint deploys as a soft appliance, so very easy to drop into your VMware, Xen, or Hyper-V environment. So after you've deployed the appliance, you simply log in as the virtual appliance admin, and you will get an administration console from which you can do a lot of stuff. So let's look at the iPrint appliance configuration. This is where you would configure your email notifications, your driver store, whether you want it locally on the appliance or for scalability reasons, maybe enable a remote driver store. This is where all your printer drivers will be stored for your environment. And your printers are defined here. So we've got a couple of printers here. This is a small setup. For every printer, I can enable or disable mobile printing or AirPrint. I can create an email address that users can just simply use to email a document to that printer's email address, and it will be printed. The renderers are the services that take output from mobile devices such as iOS tablets and Android devices and render them properly to be printed. As we all know, on these mobile devices, there is no such thing as a printer driver. So the appliance itself can render a lot of documents, but if you want, you can also deploy a Windows box. A simple Windows 7 64-bit box will do fine, on which you'll install Microsoft Office, and then it will do a beautiful job of rendering these documents that you send from mobile devices for output. You can also control some services here. You can configure your LDAP import to import your users, and so on. The other thing you can do, appliance system configuration. This is where you'd configure your administrative passwords, network, all the services that run on the box. You can have access to the logging. You can also reboot and shut down the appliance from here. So a bit of basic control. This is not where you're going to spend a lot of time. Once it's set up, it just runs. iPrint Configuration Manager. This is where you will do all your configuration of your printers, the drivers. So you will manage everything through here. You'll, your driver store will be created. You'll just upload all your drivers for every operating system to the driver store. And then what you do is simply create the printer. So we'll look at what happens when we've got a printer that's been created here. Let's look at this HP 3800, for example. So it's on sleep mode right now. I can use the identification tab to describe the location and a bit of a description of where this printer is and what it does. I can assign drivers to it. So once I've uploaded all these drivers from my different operating systems up to the driver store, I can make sure that I've got drivers assigned for every platform that I'm supporting in the enterprise. In terms of access control, I can decide who has access to the printer. Client support, I can enable secure printing, which means users would have to authenticate to this printer from their Active Directory or eDirectory account before printing to it. The other component we've got here is the iPrint printer status. So this will give me a status view of all my printers on my network. Now I can see that this IR5065 here is one of my busiest printers. So I can go click on it and see some information. There's a problem here that shows up, and it tells me that output unit 1 is out of staples. I can see how many jobs have been created in the past 24 hours, 48 hours, and so on. I can see some technical information here about the printer. I can shut down a printer here if I want to do maintenance on it or whatever, change some toner, make sure nobody sends print jobs. I can just pause the output or even pause the input to that printer. iPrint printer import would be if you're migrating from another platform, not something you'd use heavily. iPrint map creation, we're going to get back to that. And then finally, Novell within the appliance, already built in and functional, gives you a system to monitor the health of the appliance. If you're into that thing and you want to see how your print appliance is doing, you can just select your appliance and you can see all sorts of data about your appliance and go back if you're into that sort of thing. So next, let's look at what it looks like from a user point of view. So what does it look like for the users who want to use iPrint and install printers? Well, they would simply open up a browser and they could go to a list view. And obviously this link can be provided from your intranet site or whichever mechanism you use to deliver URLs to users. From here, they would see a list of printers. So they would see all the printers that have been configured in the iPrint appliance. So the printer location has been indicated, so reception area, part-timers area, that's the 3800 we were looking at before, as well as a description. So is it color, HB, HP5, black and white printer, and so on. If I want a little more information, I can use this little pop-up here and see a bit more information concerning the drivers available, and so on and so forth. So this is one way you can do this. You can present the list to your users, give them the URL that they can access, and easily install drivers from here. Now, all they need to do if they want to install a driver is simply click on it, and they will be prompted to install the driver. Do you want to install it now? Do you want to set it as your default printer, and so on? And if they say yes, the printer driver gets downloaded, installed, and properly configured with the settings that you've set up for that printer, including the number of trays and memory, and so on and so forth. But what if you're a really large enterprise, multiple offices across the country or across different cities, whatever the case is, and you've got a lot of sites with a lot of printers? Well, here's the cool thing. One of the things you can do on your intranet site is you can provide links to the different buildings and even floors of your organization. And you can present the user with maps. So for example, we're looking at this floor map for this customer here, and I can see the entire office. And as it says here, to install a printer, you simply click on the icon in the map. So if I look here and leave my mouse, I can see the description of the printer, or at least the printer name. And if I want to install one, so for example, if I want to print to this little HP5P at reception here, I simply click on the printer, and it again will ask me to install it and whether I want to set it as my default. So for example, I've already installed the 3800C here. If you look, the printer's already installed, configured, ready for me to print. So really self-service printer installation for the users, no matter where they are. So I may be a salesperson or executive who's traveling from office to office. I may be in an office that I'm not very familiar with. I can just pull up the floor plan. If I know I'm working in this corner office here, I can determine that my closest printer is over here and quickly install the driver. No need to call IT and have stuff configured. So from a user perspective, very easy to get the printer drivers down. From an IT perspective, what's really neat is that you can ensure that everybody has the same driver version, same configuration that is pushed down to all the workstations when the users install. So you just saw how you can easily create a map and drop some printer icons on that map to allow users to easily install drivers. Let's see how that's done. We had skipped this little iPrint map creation tool earlier. Let's go back to it right now. So all you need to do as an administrator is log in over here, select a floor plan, and I had already loaded one over here. Basically what you do then, I'm just going to open the plan that's already been done, because you can save this and modify it as much as you want. And all you really need to do is, choose the icon that you want. So let's just use this dot matrix. You drop it wherever you want, and you assign a printer to it. That's all there is to it. Put your mouse over text, printer description. So this is simply the title that's going to go under the printer. You'd save your map, upload it to the iPrint appliance, to the document repository, and that's it. You're done. It then shows up. You create your URL in your intranet and create all your links, whatever you need, and present all the maps to the users. They simply then have to click on the icon to install the printer driver. That's all there is to that. So let's take a look at the mobile side of things. So I'm on my iPad right now. As you can see, I've got the iPrint app downloaded and installed. I've configured my login, so I authenticate to the app. I've got a couple of favorite printers that I've added here. I can also go back over here and add some more. So I've got all the printers here. If I click on a printer, it will put a star next to it and indicate as a favorite printer. I can see the information. So if I click on the little eye, I can see where it is. So as simple as that. Now let's look at what happens if I want to print. I'm going to open up Novell Filer here, go to my files, and I'm going to look at this PDF Novell iPrint. And so I'm reading this PDF, and the scenario here is I'm a user in another office where I don't usually work. I'm not familiar with all the printers and where they are and all that stuff. but I want to print this document and show it to somebody. So I will simply say open in. I'll select open in Novell iPrint, and it will show me my printers, right? So the first thing I want to do is select a printer. Now I see some of my favorite printers here, but I'm standing in front of this printer right now, and let me just show you what the printer looks like. So this is a 3800, an HP 3800. Now as you see, there's a QR code that's been stuck to the printer. Now what's really neat with this is as I go to my iPrint application, you'll see there's a menu option here to scan using QR code. And that's what I'm going to select because again, I'm a visitor to this office. I don't know what this printer is, but I want to print to it. Now I'm going to do this and you're going to see how fast it recognizes the QR code and selects the proper printer. So I'll simply press here, there it is, stops, and I am now printing to the 3800 as you can see in the top. And I can specify here if I want color, do I want double-sided printing, portrait is fine, my paper size is off, I want to put letter size, I can increase the number of copies I want and so forth, and I would just simply click print at the bottom. And that document would come out absolutely properly rendered exactly as I was looking at it on my iPad. Now this will work from iPads, iPhones, iOS devices, Windows devices, and Blackberries. So you can print from pretty much any of the more common frequent devices that you'll see in your environment today. And that's all there is to it. You can print Word documents, Excel files, PowerPoint, PDFs, all so on and so on, a ton of document types that you can send to your printers. Now I'm obviously on the Wi-Fi network in the current printer, but this can all, if you open up your iPrint services to the outside world, you can even have sales reps or people out in the field. We have one customer who's a construction company. They're filling out spreadsheets, Excel spreadsheets with data about the job they're working on, and they can actually print through their data connection, their cellular data connections. They can actually print their documents back at the office for accounting or whoever needs to follow up on them. So this is not just a local AirPrint type of printing, but you can actually open this up and allow users to print from anywhere on any device. How cool is that? So as you've seen now a bit of what iPrint can do from the desktop point of view, from the mobile printing point of view, you know, despite all the mobile devices we've got out there, the laptops and all this stuff, printing is still a huge part of what users want to do. They want to print their documents. So there's quite a bit of challenge out there, some of them being multiple vendors, you know, the cloud, this whole cloud thing, how do we deal with this, and where are these print jobs going? So in terms of security, there's concerns about that, especially in highly compliant industries. And then obviously the mobility part of it. How do we quickly and easily enable mobile printing for users? Well, you know, iPrint is a great solution. So you address all of these needs. You drop in your appliance, you allow printing from mobile devices, from all types of workstations, from Mac, Linux, Windows, to all types of printers. And this is a key thing here now. There are a lot of solutions out there, some of them even free from some of the vendors like, you know, like Xerox and stuff and Canon, but they kind of require you to be locked into their printers and their system. So often that means upgrading a lot of the equipment that you've already got on site, or actually even changing all your equipment. So are you really going to go wall-to-wall Xerox or Canon or Epson, whatever it is? That can be a very costly proposition. So the nice thing about iPrint is if your printer's connected to the network and it's got an IP address, iPrint will talk to that printer and send the print jobs and be able to print to it. So very easy to drop in, quick deployment time, quick return on investment. I know they'll sound like buzzwords, but you know, it really is the case. It doesn't take long at all to configure, and you quickly provide all these beautiful printing services for your users. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about iPrint, would like to know more, you'd like to see maybe a more detailed demo, have some questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. I'd be more than happy to take some time and show this to you on a one-to-one basis. Thanks.